This is a very short tutorial to explain how to take a large video file like an AVI file and encode it into F4V or a smaller file that can be played back in the flash player. Keep in mind that this is a very simple tutorial and it will only explain how to do a direct change from AVI to F4V. It does not explain how to take an AVI file that may be very large in dimensions and shrinking it down to a smaller file dimension-wise. First, let's take a look at the AVI file here. As you can see, we have a large AVI video clip .avi. This file is 521 megabytes in size. The first thing we need to do to make this happen is to open up your Adobe Media Encoder CS4. As you can see, we have now opened up the encoder. What we need to do now is to take the AVI file and add it to the encoder. Simply go up to the Add button and then select the file. Now, to make sure that you are encoding it in the right file type, which in this case is a F4V or F4V, you would click on the Settings button. For this particular example, there is no audio on this file. It's just for demonstration purposes. In most cases, you will have an AVI file with audio. But for this instance, I'm going to uncheck the audio. The next thing I want to do is make sure that the format is selected correctly. In this case, it is F4V/F4V. And then, of course, you have export video, which is what we're trying to do here in this example. Let's take a look at this left part of the screen. If you go up to the top, it says source. That means the AVI file. In this particular example, the source file is 1280 by 720 pixels. The output is also 1280 by 720. There may be other examples in the future where you will have to take your AVI file and not only make it into an F4V file, but you will also have to reduce the dimensions. But in this case, I'm not going to really show you how to do it here in this example. So everything is basically set up correctly at this point. I'm now just going to select OK. And now we can name the file, which is you go back to your settings, and then the output name, you would name it something else. In this case, we're going to name it and then click Save, and then OK. The only thing left to do now is simply click the Start Queue button, and Encoder will start encoding the file. When the encoding is completed, you will notice the check mark at the top, which tells you that the encoding has successfully worked. Now let's go back to our files and take a look at the new file that we just created. As you can see, the encoder has taken the large AVI file, 521 megabytes, and has now converted it into an F4V file, which is the file you need to play it in the Flash player, and the file size has been reduced dramatically to less than 1 megabyte.